Hi, John. Welcome, John Tucker, inside the Actor Studio. How are you today?
Hello, Amy. I'm fine. How are you?
Good. Thank you so much for your time today. I am excited to interview you. I have a couple questions about your experience with St. John's as an actor.
Very good.
So, we will start with your favorite role in the Second Virginia Convention show.
Oh, well, it has to be Patrick Henry. He's the star of the show.
Absolutely. And how long have you been with St. John's acting?
I hate to say it, but 18 years. I started at age 13. Just kidding. In 2002, there was a notice for auditions in the newspaper, and I went to the audition, and apparently I didn't stink too badly because I was hired and been there the whole time since then.
Awesome. And how many roles do you play?
I've actually played all of the roles at one time or another. Um, I think I've played Colonel Washington twice when they didn't have someone who was tall enough and more appropriate for the role available. So I haven't played him very often, but I have played them all at one time or another.
Gotcha. Um, and can you think of any blooper that was memorable that you've had? I know you're perfect, John, but there might be something.
No, far from perfect. Yeah, one in particular comes to mind, and I actually won an invisible award for this blooper. Kevin Grants, who used to be in charge of the casting and the production, who unfortunately is no longer with us. He would hand out an annual award for the worst blooper of the year. And one time when I was playing Henry, there's a line where Henry says, "There are no more Scots, no more Britons," but it came out this particular day as "no more Brits and no more Scottons." So,
Got it.
that was my most notable blooper. But you just keep running with it, and act like you were supposed to say that after.
Absolutely. They probably didn't notice. What keeps you coming back? What is it that you enjoy about the show that gives you those 18 years and running?
Oh, well, I guess what inspired me to do it initially was, there is a little bit of ham in me, I suppose. And back, I'm a lawyer by trade, but before going to law school, I was a U.S. history teacher, a high school teacher. And I would often teach class from the perspective of the first person. Like, today I'm Abraham Lincoln, or today I'm Franklin Roosevelt or Daniel Webster. And so I had that background of doing that. I've always had a love for history. And so that's what prompted me to answer the call for the auditions. And one, I enjoyed it. I enjoy interacting with the other cast members. I enjoy interacting with the folks that come to see those. But in addition to that, I think that it's important that we continue to tell this story. Those men in that church, we don't realize the guts that it took to do what they did. I mean, they
Right.
were essentially, Henry in particular, he was signing his death warrant there. If he had ever been captured by the British, they would have strung with a heartbeat. And we should never lose sight of the fact that we owe a huge debt of gratitude to those people who put their lives and their fortunes on the line in order that we could have our freedom. So that's a story that needs told over and over and over again.
Right. That's great. Absolutely. I guess my last question is, because there are so many kids watching these days and learning online, do you have any memorable interactions or questions that a child has asked you?
um, yeah, a number of them. Several times, kids have asked me, "Are you a Confederate?"
Ah.
So I have to say, you've got the wrong war here. So
Right.
I'd say to kids, there's the American Revolution, and then there's years later the American Civil War, and try to learn the distinction between the two. Another humorous question that I get a lot of times is, are these graves real? Are people really buried here in the cemetery around the church? And yes, in fact, they are. You know better than I do, but over 1,000 people are buried there, as far as I know.
Right.
This is Disney World. This is not the haunted mansion at Disney World with the graves. This is the actual thing.
Right.
And another question that I get quite often is that your real hair? And
Right. Excellent.
it's big.
Love it. That's great.
And
Well,
there are three prominent questions or popular questions.
gotcha. Well, thank you, John, so much for your time. It is a pleasure always to work with you, and we look forward to all being together again at St. John's
Absolutely.
Church. Thanks, John.
Absolutely. You're welcome. Bye-bye.